bottom is about two things. It's very important to remember it's not just tax rates. It's also about what we tax. I was on Irish radio this morning because they can't find anyone to criticise their politicians on tax in Ireland, so I've got the right name at least. I've even got a passport, but I don't sound it. The problem in Ireland is not the 12.5% tax rate. That's like an advertising hoarding. It's actually that they've set up a system where there's almost no profit, even if it's declared in Ireland, which is actually subject to tax. And we're doing that here. The race to the bottom here is, one, we've cut corporation tax since the general election from 28% to 20%. Everybody else has had a tax increase of some sort or other, either by not increasing allowances, but everybody else has ended up with a combination of increases. But big business hasn't. It's had its rate cut from 28 to 20. But at the same time, scandalously, what Osborne has done is said that in 2010, UK companies were taxed on their worldwide income. Now, they're only taxed on their UK income. So what he's created is the incentive for them to move the money out of the UK by any means they can, hook, crook, deceptive accounting, and there's lots of easy ways to do that. I promise you, accountants can always make the numbers add up in a different way. So they move it to a tax haven, and now there's no mechanism to tax it when they bring it back, but there was before. So the race to the bottom is this hidden race of actually hiding the profits in the first place, and he's doing that. And so when you hear him saying we're going to tackle tax avoidance, the person who's created more opportunities for tax avoidance in this country in the last 50 years than anybody else is George Osborne. These deals which have been done, the sweetheart deals, but when we have HM Revenue and Customs with a chairman, and it is a man, so I can use that term on this occasion, whose name is Ian Barlow, who was for 37 years a tax partner at KPMG, the second largest firm of accounts in the world. And he was the senior tax partner, including at the time that they paid a fine of $456 million in the States for criminal tax evasion. You know, this is one of our big four firms of accountants. They've all paid fines for this, all by the way, for criminal activity. All of them have got criminal convictions in the States. But when we have a revenue with him on it, and a former PricewaterhouseCoopers partner on it, and a director of NPower on it, and a Tesco's director on it, and so on, then we're going to end up with a revenue authority, which at the top thinks that actually doing sweet deals for business is exactly what it's all about. And so we've got to clean the place out from the top down. We've got to have people who are trade unionists and civil society, and yeah, I don't mind a business person being there, but why not a small business person as well as Tesco's? You know, because they've got a right too. So the place is absolutely rotten at the moment, and that's the neoliberal agenda, is take over the instruments of the state for private benefit, and that's what they're doing. That's how these deals happen. I must dash, otherwise I'm really not going to.
Farewell symphony, so I'll bring Mark in next. He has to go as well.
Just in answering the two questions and finishing with one other final point. In terms of the race to the bottom, it does seem to me at the moment that this idea of lowering corporation tax to try and attract companies, we have to say is completely the wrong approach. That the idea that you've got to reduce corporation tax or let actually those who can afford it off the hook, to me is nonsense. And I tell you what, when they tell us that people will all flee somewhere else, if you suddenly said you flee somewhere else then, and you won't be making any profits in this country, and you won't be selling anything in this country, then I think some of them would wise up a little bit. It seems to me that we find it too easy to say nothing can be done, and actually then because we say that, they exploit it, and they exploit it massively. I think it's about political will. There is no question whatsoever, if we had the will, we could raise loads more money. But looking at the HMRC and your point about the dodgy deals, this actually really is quite illustrative, because the resources HMRC has in its units who are there to really trace the big numbers has been massively cut. It's one of those ironies that the resources in DWP put into chasing benefit cheats, inverted commas, is massive, and yet in the HMRC, where it's actually about billions, not about pounds and pennies, it's really, really been cut back. And then when you get the Lynn Homers of this world, who quite clearly made a complete dog's breakfast of the Home Office, then suddenly turning up in HMRC and telling Margaret Hodge, I know more about tax than you do. I have to say that, you know, in this instance, I think Margaret Hodge is trying to do a service to this country, and Lynn Homer should actually resign in shame, because what she's presiding over is an HMRC that is getting far less money in, and it could do so much better. So I think that what we've really got to really get across is that this is all so important, and I wanted to finish on this, John, which is there's one, a battle for ideas that we've got to have, but then we've also got to understand that whilst we're winning or trying to win the battle for ideas, we've got to support things in the here and now as well, and it's this combination of supporting action but also trying to shift the political debate. And on the battle for ideas, meetings like this are invaluable, but it seems to me there's a real danger at the moment that we go into the 2015 general election and everybody knows that you want the Tories out, only Labour is going to replace them. But what Labour do is play it safe, and they don't enthuse or inspire anyone, and even if they get in, they tinker around the edges rather than do something really meaningful. And therefore there's a big battle of ideas to win the Labour movement in the next 2 years. But there's also something else. I just want to give a final plug that on the 3rd of June, there will be a week of strikes throughout the country of all of our members in DWP and HMRC who will be striking together for a week rolling around the country. It's part of our latest phase of action to try and defend our members' living standards, pensions and job cuts. And I hope that in that battle, people join the dots. Because if we are successful, if Britain had the pay rise that we think it so desperately needs, more money would be spent in the economy and it would immediately have a positive effect. If we had more resources, we could do more to chase all the tax dodgers, and we could administer a fairer welfare state. And therefore, I'm a great believer is that we support the struggle in the here and now, and hope you will do that here, but we also try and win the battle of ideas. Both are absolutely critical, and meetings like this play a vital role, and at the end of the day, it seems to me, if we're not successful, we are just going to have to deal with the fallout for decades to come, and we have to do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen.
He's got to go now.